Story 72. Hi. Something's on my mind. I want to talk about it. I heard a story about a little girl. I'm paraphrasing, but the gist of the story is in my words. Little girl and her friends, maybe a cousin or two, I think, on the playground playing. She gets into it with a 12-year-old girl. I think the little girl is 8 or 9 or something like that. She gets into it with a 12-year-old. I don't know what they're arguing about. What could you be arguing about? You're 12 and 8. Anyway, they're arguing. So time goes by, a little bit of time goes by, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. The little girl, the 12-year-old, goes to the 8-year-old, or the little girl she was arguing with, and threw acid on her. Her mother had given her some acid to throw on the little girl. The little girl ran home, tearing off her clothes. She suffered burns, I think first and third degree burns on her arms, her back, her legs. Running home, tearing off her clothes, burning. I can only imagine. The girl had to go to the hospital, clearly. She spent 3 or 4 days in the hospital. And I believe the family has set up a GoFundMe in order to help with, taking care of damages, bills and stuff. Okay. You're a 12-year-old and you're getting into it with an 8-year-old. Let's give her 8 years old. Okay, that I could see that in a household, little sister, big sister type thing. But if you're on a playground and you see a little kid on a playground, and like I said, I don't know what they were arguing about, but let me tell you something. This little girl went home, had to have gone home, and her mom told her to throw acid on this girl. Listen, who in the hell keeps acid readily available like that? Why would you give that to a 12-year-old girl? To throw on an 8-year-old girl. I'm giving her 8 years old now. To throw on anybody. That's premeditated, because what happens is you had to leave the scene in order to go home to get said acid to throw it on this little girl. I hope they pour acid in on that mother, inside her, injected in her veins. That's disgusting. To me, I'm going to tell you what that is. I'm going to tell you this, the same thing, and I know I'm going to catch hell for this, but I'm letting you know. In my opinion, her mothering was the same mothering as that 14-year-old boy who shot and killed that man that hit his mother. It's not the same thing. I understand. Totally different situation. However, when I say it's the same, I mean in the regard of the child carried out an adult act. That's what I mean. I'm going to go back to the boy in Chicago. No, that man did not have a right to put his hands on her. Not in the least. But I can guarantee you this. If I'm in a situation where there is a man who is willing to argue with a woman, I'm going to remove myself from that situation. I don't have time to prove that I can stand there and argue. Whatever, and there are people's, well, she had already paid for food. You cannot tell me that that was the only place to eat in Chicago. You can't. I've been to Chicago. I never even heard of that place. So you can't tell me that this woman's right to argue, this woman's right to be there was worth more than saving her son. And when I say save her son, I mean this. No woman has a child in order for their child to protect them. It is the parent's job to protect the child. So, my opinion, that woman should have removed herself from that situation. When that dude started, arguing with her, and then started to get close up on her, and then drew back like he was ready to throw hands, if she knew enough to tell her son to leave and go to the car, she should have done enough to go with him. What if he followed her? Well, then she had every right to take her gun and handle business. One, how did your son know? How did he have access to this weapon? You are licensed to carry a weapon. Licensed to carry a weapon. But your son carried it out? Then you leave the scene? wait till the weekend's over and then turn yourself in? All right, I'm going to go back to the story at hand. So the young girl goes home, I don't know, tells her mother what happened. In what parent's mind would let their child, their 12-year-old child, their preteen child, go back and confront an 8-year-old child and throw acid on them, much less? This is something that the mother thought of. And the mother had the child carry this act out. That's what I'm talking about. The carelessness of a parent. That was careless. That was crass. That was stupid. And I hope she goes to jail. And I hope she loses all custody rights of her child. Might be harsh, but it's less harsh than what she had her daughter do to that little 8-year-old. When I heard that story, my heart broke. Because you have people out here who want children and can't have them. And then you have people out here who have children and don't know what to do. They do dumb shit like this. So when it comes to children and stuff like that, I can't understand why people would want to put their child in harm's way, or any child in harm's way. That boy in Chicago, he a hero. He saved his mother. He was protecting his mother. That's not what a child's job is. This boy is 14 years old and he's a murderer because his mother wouldn't walk away. No, not because he was protecting his mother. Because he wouldn't have had to protect her if she would have been smart enough to walk away. Stop trying to prove that you can do stuff at the expense of your child's mental being. Because that's what's going on. Nobody is talking about or worried about what these children go through when they carry out adult acts. Nobody. This little girl threw acid on somebody at her mother's direction. Are you kidding me? Why is this story not in the news? Why was this story not in the news? In national news. This is national news. This is not just something local. Because this is something that needs to be heard throughout the nation. This is ridiculous. We got to do better as parents. We really do. We got to stop trying to be our kids' friends. And I'm guilty of that. There have been plenty of times where I've acted as my children's friends as opposed to being their parent. But then I snap out of that shit and get back to what I'm supposed to do. This little girl was arrested. I can't remember all of the charges, but I know one of them was like endangerment of a child, or, to cause bodily harm. You threw acid on somebody. Again, who has acid on the ready to just toss in a container and throw on somebody? What 12-year-old child thinks of that? What the hell is the problem? This is that mother's fault. And this is ridiculous that we have to hear stories like this, that things like this are happening. This is absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't fathom something like that happening in close proximity or in far proximity. I couldn't fathom anything like that happening. That is so heart-wrenching to me. Because children don't have the mindset to do these things. These are learned behaviors. These are patterns that form over time from learned behavior, from things that they've seen. Who just wakes up and thinks about being diabolical enough to throw acid on someone? Are you kidding me? Anyway, that was on my mind. I wanted to bring that to y'all. My videos are not usually like this, but I really had to say what was on my mind about that situation that I heard. And I think I'm going to do more of this because the story needs to get out. Stories like this need to get out because something's got to be done. And it's got to start somewhere. But anyway, if you like content like this, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Support my channel. And I will continue to bring you more. I still do my superlatives, what I call my superlatives every day, where I give you 3. That's right, 3 superlatives every day in the form of shorts. So go ahead and check those out. I post them every single day. And I'm going to do that for a year. And once my year is up, I'm going to switch to a different type of superlative. But until then, in the meantime, in between times, again, I'm Stingray72. I thank you so much for selecting this video. Don't forget, again, to give me a like, share, comment, subscribe. And till the next video. Bye.